Welcome to Fitch Painting Repairs Garage. Today's project, continuing on the 96 Vulcan Classic 1500. This is the bike that had the bad second gear issue in it. Turned out to be a broken shift drum. But we got the bike all back together and test rode it. And the transmission is successfully repaired on this. The motor's solid. But we're having a little bit of performance issues with it. Specifically just off of idle. We're having that transition circuit issue. I believe it was a leaning issue. The bike was leaning out really bad. It was spitting and popping, coughing a little bit on takeoff. The loss of power, and then say when you're cruising down the road at highway speed, say 60 mile an hour, and you roll on throttles slightly to accelerate, it would cough or hiccup or hesitate. And I believe it had to do with the intake manifold, which is that piece right there, and the carburetor, and these two little O-rings that mount on the head. And I believe, it's hard to see, but this here is a molding where the mold is. That's a line from the mold. That's not an actual crack. But right there, you really can't see it. There's a crack right there. See that? Right where the flange is. And what I believe the problem was, this flange previously had been over torqued and warped. It's slightly warped right there where it meets the head. And it's just a little wore out. So we've ordered a new one. Got some new gaskets. And when I removed this and pulled it off the head, see it mounts up in here? It's got these little grooves that go in there. It's hard to see. Let me get a flashlight on that so you guys can see what I'm talking about a little better. There is, my camera's not focusing. There we go. See that groove that goes around there? The O-ring, when I pulled that off on the bottom side of it, had lifted out of the groove slightly. So I'm thinking possibly we just had a massive air intake leak right there, and that was the problem. So we're going to replace that, put it all back together, and see what happens. Now, I thought I had solved the problem by rebuilding the carburetor and changing the air cutoff diaphragm, and it was severely dry rotted inside the carburetor and causing some issues. I bought one carburetor rebuild kit for it, and I used the numbers on the carburetor to verify the parts, because it's a little bit of a guessing game here, guys. This is a 1996 Vulcan Classic. It's a VN 1500D1. All right, so that's what they call this particular machine. Now, Vulcan 1500 or VN 1500A or whatever, but the carburetor numbers came back as a carburetor listed for a Vulcan Drifter 800. So we went ahead and ordered the parts for a Vulcan Drifter 800. And it's a different carburetor, different size, different jets, and the air cutoff valve did not match, did not fit. The little brass piece that fits down inside the carburetor is too big a diameter to fit into the hole. So we went ahead and bought another one, and online it listed as a VA, or a 1500A, 1500E, and fits 1500D. Oh my Lord. Very few of those parts actually fit the carburetor. It was kind of a guessing game, and most of the jets are unmarked. So what we did was we replaced the air cutoff valve, put that in, replaced the diaphragm, the accelerator pump diaphragm, changed the main and the pilot jet, put a brand new main and brand new pilot jet in it, and then left everything else basically the same after, pulling it apart and cleaning it. We had also set the air fuel mixture screw at 2.5 turns out. It's 1.5 to 2 3/4 is the setting. by the book. Now, you cannot make the adjustment when the bike is assembled unless you have a special tool, because this carburetor sits so far back in here, and with the cover and the box and the tank, you can't get in there to get to that adjustment screw. So basically, to make any adjustments or anything on the bike, you gotta disassemble and pull all apart, put it all back together. So that's where we're at right now, guys. We're waiting on this intake manifold to come in the mail. As soon as we get that, we'll reassemble the bike and we'll run it and we'll see. All right. We'll talk to you later.